What if the most powerful person in Meghan Markle's life isn't royal, isn't famous, and almost never speaks in public? Because behind the headlines, behind the documentaries, and behind every carefully staged photo op, there's one figure who keeps popping up in the background. A man who started out carrying trays in a private club and ended up standing next to Meghan Markle at some of the biggest turning points of her life. His name is Markus Anderson, sometimes spelled Marcus online, and for years he's been described as Meghan's secret weapon, her second most important man, and the quiet connector who allegedly helped open the door to Prince Harry himself. He almost never gives interviews. He avoids the spotlight. And yet somehow, every time Meghan's story changes course, he's there, on the guest list, in the corner of the frame, or walking just a step behind.
Tonight, we're going to unpack how a former waiter from Soho House became one of the most talked about background characters in the royal story, and why one tiny shift in his public behavior made the internet think he'd finally stopped protecting Meghan Markle. But before we dive into this rabbit hole of private clubs, quiet power, and royal rumors, do me one quick favor. Tap that subscribe button so your algorithm knows you like long, messy royal timelines more than 15-second conspiracy clips. It's free, it helps a lot, and I promise Marcus won't try to vet you for membership first. All right, let's talk about who this man actually is. Long before tabloids started calling him the other man in Meghan's life, Markus Anderson was just another staff member inside one of the most exclusive social machines in the world, Soho House. If you don't know Soho House, think of it as a global network of private clubs for creatives, executives, and people who like to say, "I'll have the usual," while everyone else wonders how they got in. Marcus didn't walk into that world as a VIP. According to multiple profiles, he started as a waiter. He literally worked his way up from serving drinks to choosing the people who got to sit in the room in the first place. Over the years, he became a consultant and finally global membership director, the person who helps decide who fits the vibe, who gets invited, and which cities get their own house. That kind of job doesn't come with a royal title, but it does come with something arguably more powerful: information. Who's in town? Who's important? Who wants to meet whom? Who's about to become someone? Marcus built a reputation for knowing everyone, remembering everything, and quietly connecting people who could be useful to each other. He wasn't the loudest person at the party. He was the one who knew exactly where the party would be next. And then, at some point during that climb, one ambitious actress from Toronto walked into his orbit and never really left. Before she was a duchess, Meghan Markle was in Toronto, filming Suits, running her lifestyle blog The Tig, and doing what a lot of smart actors do: trying to turn a steady TV role into a long-term brand. Toronto at that time had a very specific scene. The mix of film festivals, tech people, media, and international creatives made it a perfect city for Soho House to expand into. And where there's a new house, there's Markus Anderson, flying in, scouting, and weaving a new web of who's who in that city. Somewhere in those overlapping circles, Meghan and Marcus connected. From the outside, it looks like they clicked quickly. Over the years, they've been spotted traveling, attending events, and moving side by side through the same elite spaces. Meghan has publicly described him as loving, supportive, and endlessly fun. Not exactly the words you use for a casual acquaintance. To Meghan, Marcus wasn't just another friend who liked good cocktails. He represented access to better rooms, better introductions, better chances to be seen by the right people. To Marcus, Meghan was an up-and-coming actress who understood how these worlds worked and knew how to present herself inside them. Their friendship sat at the intersection of real connection and strategic alignment. Two people whose careers looked very different, but whose goals lined up surprisingly well. And then came the moment that turned their friendship from interesting to history-making. Ask 3 different royal commentators who introduced Meghan Markle to Prince Harry, and you'll get at least 4 different answers. In one version, Harry fell for Meghan after seeing that now-famous dog-year Instagram photo and asked a mutual friend to connect them. In another, designer Misha Nonu, a friend of both, played matchmaker. And in a third version, the one we're focusing on today, Markus Anderson and Soho House are quietly sitting in the middle of the whole story. Several royal writers and outlets have reported that Harry and Meghan got to know each other better in low-key gatherings at Soho House in London. According to those accounts, Markus helped arrange or host informal meetings in private rooms where they could talk without cameras, staff, or curious strangers hovering 3 feet away.
Picture it. Not a red carpet moment, not a royal ball, not a glittering palace reception. Just a small group of people, a closed door, and a bottle of chilled rosé in a members-only club run by a mutual friend who understands discretion better than most. Was Markus the official matchmaker? We don't know. Different people tell the story in different ways. What we can say is that his world, Soho House, and his role, the connector, were right there at the moment Meghan's life took its sharpest turn. And once that connection started turning from casual dates into something serious, Markus didn't fade into the background. If anything, he moved closer to the center. Because when you help open the door to royalty, you don't just watch from the hallway. You tend to follow inside.
Most people who marry into a royal family go through the same dramatic transition. Old life out, new life in. Work changes, social circles shrink. Friends who once knew everything suddenly find themselves at a distance. Markus Anderson didn't get that memo. As Meghan stepped into the royal machine, engagement announcement, wedding planning, new titles, new home, Markus kept showing up. At the Invictus Games in 2017, where Meghan and Harry made one of their first public appearances together, he was there. When Meghan's New York baby shower made headlines, he was spotted again as part of the tight inner circle. After Archie's birth, reports noted that Markus had already visited and stayed close to the family plans. For royal watchers used to clear categories, family, staff, official advisors, Markus didn't fit anywhere on the chart. He wasn't a royal aide. He wasn't a blood relative. He wasn't a famous politician or billionaire. He was a club executive and a personal friend who somehow kept sliding past the velvet rope of royal protocol.
To Meghan, he was familiar comfort inside a world that demanded perfection. To Harry, he seems to have become part of the package. And to the outside world, he was the mystery guest who kept appearing in the background of this very public fairy tale. At this point in the story, you could already make a 10-minute video, but we're only halfway there, so let's power up. Quick breather. If you're still watching, hit subscribe. It tells YouTube, yes, I really do want 20-minute deep dives about one guy in a baseball cap, and honestly, that's a personality trait I respect. Now, if Markus keeps showing up at all the big moments, why does it feel like he never actually says anything?
Here's where Markus Anderson becomes more than just a footnote and turns into an internet puzzle. For someone who's been described as Meghan's close confidant, alleged matchmaker, and permanent +1, Markus gives almost nothing away in public. You won't find a tell-all interview titled, "My Life with Meghan and Harry." There's no explosive book on the shelves with his face on the cover. When he does appear in mainstream coverage, it's mostly the talk about Soho House, style, or networking, not royal drama. And yet, in candid photos, he's everywhere. In 2025, when Meghan, Harry, and their kids were spotted at Disneyland celebrating Lilibet's birthday, eagle-eyed fans noticed a familiar figure in the background, a man in a light blue shirt and baseball cap who looked a lot like Markus. In some pictures, Meghan used a heart emoji to cover his face, as if to protect the identity of a man everyone was already trying to identify.
Around the same time, he showed up in a pink-themed baby shower photo, smiling next to Meghan and other friends. There were reports of him joining pumpkin carving outings and cozy gatherings in California. Front row appearances at fashion events? He's there too, a few steps away, quietly taking it all in. So we end up with a weird contrast. Visually, Markus is present at key family moments and big public outings. Vocally, Markus is almost silent. And that's where the internet does what the internet always does. When people see someone who is always around but never speaks, they start writing their own story. Some fans paint him as the ultimate loyal friend who chooses privacy over clout. Some critics turn him into the mysterious mastermind who knows every secret and pulls strings from the shadows. Different corners of the internet project completely different narratives onto the same handful of photographs. And then, somewhere in this swirl of images and speculation, the rumor mill decided Markus had finally broken his silence.
If you search for Markus Anderson on YouTube or social media, you'll find a pattern. Titles like, "Markus Anderson speaks out," "He finally revealed the truth," or "He didn't defend Meghan Markle this time." But when you actually look for a big, dramatic interview, it's not there. Instead, most of these videos are based on small moments, secondhand stories, or tiny comments that may or may not even be directly from Markus. Things like a brief remark at an event that someone else later describes. A moment where he doesn't jump in to defend Meghan in the way people expected. The simple fact that he doesn't publicly deny certain stories, which in the world of celebrity gossip gets treated as a statement in itself. In Meghan's world, silence is never just silence. If someone loudly defends her, that becomes a headline. If someone publicly criticizes her, that becomes a headline. And if someone close to her says nothing at all, yes, that also becomes a headline. People start asking, if he's really that close, why isn't he shutting down the rumors? Why won't he correct the story? Does his silence mean he agrees? The reality might be far less dramatic. He could just be a private person who doesn't want his words turned into clickbait. But the lack of clarity leaves a vacuum, and that vacuum gets filled with whatever narrative people already believe. If you think Meghan is misunderstood, you'll see Markus as a loyal friend wisely staying quiet. If you think Meghan is manipulative, you'll read any distance as a secret warning. Same man, same silence, completely different conclusions. So has Markus actually spoken out in a way that changes everything? Not in any major on-the-record way we can point to. What has changed is how the internet interprets even the smallest shift, a missed appearance, an off-camera comment, a moment where he doesn't rush to defend. And that's where this story stops being just about one man and one duchess and starts being about all of us watching from the outside.
Fast forward to where we are now. Post-royal life, California, kids, podcasts, business deals, and a constant swirl of opinions about Meghan and Harry's every move. Through all of that, one thing has stayed surprisingly consistent. Markus Anderson is still in the picture. He's reportedly there at Disneyland rides. He's there at pumpkin outings and family-friendly events. He's there at pink baby showers with their longtime Soho House friends. He's there in front-row fashion show photos, casually sitting next to Meghan while she's being scrutinized by the world. If this were a movie, he'd be the character who appears in the first act, sticks around through the chaos of the second act, and is still standing in the final scene while the credits roll. That continuity matters because it tells us something that no tabloid spin can fully override. Whatever theories people have about why he's there, Meghan and Harry keep choosing to have him there. To Meghan's supporters, that looks like loyalty. A friend who knew her before the tiara, before the tabloids, before the Netflix deals, and who hasn't tried to sell that story for fame. Someone whose influence is measured in plane tickets and private conversations, not in trending hashtags.
To her critics, it looks like proof of something else, that Meghan never truly left the world of curated access and social strategy, and that Markus is still the gatekeeper between her and certain brooms. And here's the twist. Both sides are guessing. None of us sitting at home truly know what's said when that group is off-camera carving pumpkins or waiting in line at Disneyland. What we can see is the pattern. A man who went from waiter to global connector. A woman who went from cable actress to duchess. A private club that turned into a shared universe. And a friendship that didn't get cut off when the credits rolled on the royal wedding. Which raises one last question. What does this say about modern celebrity?
The story of Meghan Markle and Markus Anderson isn't simple. It's not just a fairy tale friendship. It's not just a cold, strategic alliance. It's not just a villain sidekick dynamic or a pure ride or die loyalty story. It's something messier, more human, and far more modern than that. You have a man who built power by choosing who gets into certain rooms, a woman who built a career by knowing exactly what to do once she got inside them, a relationship that sits at the intersection of genuine connection and mutual benefit, and an audience, us, trying to decode every emoji, every crop, every moment of silence. In a different era, Markus Anderson would just be the friend you never heard of, the guy at the dinner party whose name nobody remembers, but who quietly arranged the entire guest list. In 2025, he's content fodder. His job title becomes a theory. His decision not to speak becomes a storyline. The story of Meghan Markle and Markus Anderson isn't simple. It's not just a fairy tale friendship. It's not just a cold, strategic alliance. It's not just a villain sidekick dynamic or a pure ride or die loyalty story. It's something messier, more human, and far more modern than that. You have a man who built power by choosing who gets into certain rooms, a woman who built a career by knowing exactly what to do once she got inside them, a relationship that sits at the intersection of genuine connection and mutual benefit, and an audience, us, trying to decode every emoji, every crop, every moment of silence. In a different era, Markus Anderson would just be the friend you never heard of, the guy at the dinner party whose name nobody remembers, but who quietly arranged the entire guest list. In 2025, he's content fodder. His job title becomes a theory. His decision not to speak becomes a storyline.
Maybe the real exposed truth here isn't about what Markus knows, or what Meghan did, or what was whispered over that first glass of rosé. Maybe it's about how fast we turn real people into characters in an ongoing drama we feel we're owed the ending to. Markus Anderson might be Meghan's silent protector. He might be her favorite travel buddy. He might be the friend who keeps her grounded, or the connector who helped her leap into a completely different life. Most likely, he's some complicated mix of all of that. What we know for sure is this: he walks in and out of photos, but never out of the story. And for someone who supposedly hates the spotlight, that might be the most powerful position of all. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, you are officially deeper into the royal side character universe than most people on the planet. So hey, hit subscribe before you escape. It costs nothing, it makes the algorithm mildly obsessed with you, and it tells me you're ready for more long-form deep dives into the background characters that secretly run everything. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.